Hi, welcome to Journey to Radiance. I'm Melissa.
I'm Alana.
I'm Joe.
And we're so glad you're here. Today's episode, we're going to talk about the competence trap. And really, this is a topic that came up for us in actually kind of different ways, which we're going to explore the full spectrum of that. But the subject of the competence trap is really when being the one that everyone else counts on really starts to cost you something. There is a hidden cost to being reliable. There's times where you may not feel strong enough to carry it, and it may have a consequence related to that. And it may be that you don't feel strong enough in the moment to carry it, or it might be an issue where you've carried it for so long that you've hit your capacity to continue carrying it. And that part really resonates with me in terms of it worked for a long time, and now it's not working anymore. Mm-hmm. At times, competence can also become like a cage that makes you feel trapped because there is kind of an external perspective of this issue and an internal perspective of this issue. Really, from an internal perspective, talking about dependability. Like, if your identity is wrapped around wanting to be viewed or wanting to be dependable and contribute for others and be supportive of others, this could be an issue that's more keenly aware. You may have more keen awareness around this. And then externally, if you're viewed as being the competent one, the one that always picks up the slack, the one that always executes and delivers, sometimes people can take advantage of that. And if you're not a person that can set clear boundaries or a person that can really separate what is your responsibility from others or taking the responsibility on for others, that can really lead to some self-abandonment and some kind of people-pleasing tendencies. So we're going to wade all the way in today. We're going to probably get messy. You can rest assured we'll get messy. Just wanted to ask some questions really just as a teaser to tease this out. But have you ever heard someone say to you, "I knew you'd figure it out"?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. How about, if anyone can handle this, it's you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if that resonates with you and those two questions kind of triggered, yeah, I can relate to that, or I've heard that before. Our core question today is, who are you when you're no longer proving your worth through your usefulness? Again, who are you when you're no longer proving your worth through usefulness, meaning that you're useful for others and therefore you have a sense of worth tapped into that. So competence isn't really, so the competence trap isn't a lack of capability. It's actually what happens when capability becomes too closely locked in with identity. And so really just wanting to discern that. So let's wade in, guys. Let's talk first about the external burden of competence before we get into the being dependable, the internal part of it. So from the external perspective, this is really, what does everyone see about you? And I think the real rub here for me is that people will naturally bring problems to you. If you are capable and a good problem solver and that dependable one, do you guys have any experience shares around being viewed that way, or any around this capability, competency issue?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's the dependable part for me. Like in previous roles, in previous jobs, it's been, you get more and more put on. And the worst part is watching others not.
Oh, yeah.
So you are relied on because you've shown up and you've taken on extra and you've done more, while others, well, you do it better. You'll get it done. You'll do it right. And so you watch other people
coast.
Yeah. And that's, what that will do to morale is just incredible.
Yeah. And I think about it professionally and personally too. I think, like, I've said this before in some of my talks, like, as young girls, I mean, just from growing up, I think we tend to take the temperature of the room and just make sure everyone's good. Like, do you need anything? Are you good? What can I help with? What can I take on? And I think that for me, competence almost like masked my burnout. Like it was like I couldn't even, I guess I could feel the burnout, and I'm sure we can talk about what happens in the body, but it was like, well, I'll just keep going, keep taking things on, again, personally, professionally. You always pick up the phone as the friend, if someone comes to you with their problems, or at work, right, you take on the project, you volunteer because you'll get it done. While others maybe are, I don't know, either lack competence, or they don't raise their hand, or they have really good boundaries and are really great at saying no. I think probably most of these, our audience, people we're talking to, are high achieving women, and they may struggle with boundaries because they are the dependable one.
Yeah.
So yeah, personally and professionally, for me, I've definitely seen it.
Yeah, and I think, in terms of identity, competent people often are identified as being the fixer, the peacemaker, a decision maker, the emotional regulator.
Yeah,
that's a big one,
that's
right?
a big one.
The rescuer, or the responsible one. And I can think of, I have certain friendships where, because I have those identifying qualities, when we go to hang out, it's literally my job to keep them alive. From a partying perspective, right? I'm the designated driver because I'm always the responsible one. I'm the person. And I don't mind that, because quite honestly, it's for my own safety too, because the last thing I want to do, if someone doesn't trust their own ability to regulate themselves, I don't want to put my safety in their hands. So it usually works out well for me. But I think the assumption of that can also be kind of hurtful at times, because it's where's my right to exhale or choose, or to have balance in the relationship, where sometimes you're taking lead, sometimes you're responsible, sometimes I'm responsible. So I do feel like there's a burden sometimes that can come, and sometimes it arrives disguised as trust, which makes it tricky, right? You don't feel necessarily maybe justified in feeling a sense of burden, because it's presented to you in a package that's well, I trust you. So, you know what I mean? It makes you feel like there's a sense of responsibility to the friendship, or to be trustworthy. Right. And so therefore it kind of be a little hidden, a little concealed.
Yeah, that resonates with me. The danger that your worth starts getting tied to being needed, or being productive, and being reliable. And then I think you start to kind of get fuzzy on, wait, what do I want? What do I actually want here? Versus asking, it sounds like people are asking, or you're asking, what do you need from me? Right? Because you're like, what do you need from me? What do you need from me? And instead of what do I want? And I think a lot of people, in terms of just my clients that I've been speaking to, when I ask, what do you want? It's a very hard question for people to answer. And it was a very hard question for me to answer, and still is at times, because it's whoa, it's almost whoa, no one's either ever asked me that, or no one's asked me that in a long time. And I think the more we get to know ourselves, right, and we're able to speak up, it's in those situations, if people are depending on you, you can say, yeah, I do want to do that. I do want to be depended on in this situation. Or, you know what, I'm not feeling like being the DD this time. Or I need a weekend to let loose, and can someone else take this on?
Yeah.
But you have
to find your voice.
Yeah.
And your comfort in expressing that as well. And I've seen this also play out in a team dynamic, where I think you touched on this a little bit, Joe, when you talked about it gives people permission to maybe slack off or not take responsibility. I've seen it play out kind of live, real time, very simple things going to a meeting collectively as a team, and the presumption that so-and-so will take the notes.
Yeah.
So-and-so, and there's a consistent assumption that is the singular person responsible for capturing all of the critical information. And I can recall, Joe, you pushing back on that and be like, you should all be taking notes. And then we should be reconciling the notes, because you all have varying perspectives that need to be elevated. Do you want to talk more about why you felt that was important?
Yeah, because I've been in a meeting taking notes, or assisting in taking notes, and something that was said that's not a scope I understand, or in a realm I understand. So I'm so focused on, wait, what acronym did you just say? Or what does that mean? What do I need to put here? I've missed the next part. And so it is critical that you're cued in to what you need to be cued into and what your level of understanding is. Because I can take general notes, that's okay. But if you start getting into the scope of a building or drywall or something that is way beyond my knowledge, I'm not accurately taking those notes.
Yeah, you're missing context. You're missing some important cues that are really going to be important. And what's interesting in that in the example was this is something that Jo was not even a part of the team in this meeting, but she was advocating for equity and balance in the team dynamic that the person who was being depended upon never voiced.
Right.
And so we never really examined or asked the question, is this something that bothers you? Is this something that you want more balance and equity in? But it would have been really interesting. I can't imagine that person wanted to be in that position consistently every single time, because that's a lot of responsibility. Yeah. But that they didn't feel to speak up and really advocate for a different scenario based on what they wanted. So to your point of like, know what you want, know where your boundaries are around what you don't want, and be able to advocate when you feel as though, yes, I'm competent, but aren't you competent? Are you saying that you're incompetent?
Right. I love that idea of like empowering others to not, like, shaking things up. Like, I can just picture that scenario where you come in, you sit down, and the same people are like, yeah, I just can chill, and so will take the notes and do the summary. And it's like, no. Step in. And what did you take from it?
Yeah. Yeah. One of my leadership groups, this is something that actually like pisses me off, because it's a leadership group where it's about 50-50 dynamic male-female. And guess who are because there's a scribe position within the leadership group. It's always a woman that's a scribe. So I got to a point where at first it showed up passive aggressively, where I'm like, hey, Rob, do your typing fingers work? Like,
Yeah.
is there started asking questions of the guys. And I'm like, why am I being passive aggressive? Why can't I just say, hey, do you think we could have some balance and shift responsibilities? Because I've been the scribe 3 times in the last month, and I don't really see anybody else in that position. And I'm sure my perspective is limited.
Do the guys in that situation, because I have a scenario like that as well, where they've said like, oh, but you're so much better at it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like,
that's horseshit.
Yeah.
It's total horseshit.
And I probably am, but I want you to take some effort and do it as well.
Yeah, you're capable of human development.
Yeah, I love that. Do your typing fingers work, Rob?
Come on, Rob. Pony up, Rob. Let's do this. Yeah, no, I hate to make it a true thing about gender equity, but it just felt like it doesn't have to be about gender. It could be literally just about balance and shared responsibilities, and just making sure that in a true healthy team dynamic, those are shared responsibilities. It doesn't always fall consistently on one person who's viewed as competent or capable. Yeah. It is, everybody's this is a standard. Everybody is expected to be capable and competent, and we will all take varying roles and perspectives and positions at times to demonstrate that.
Yeah.
And you will be called upon as needed to demonstrate that. That is like level setting the expectation of that at onset, rather than, and I don't know why it didn't come out sooner, but I just so congratulate and appreciated that you did that, Jo, because it's like raising awareness to the imbalance of that. Yeah.
Do you think that people who are, like tend to be the leaders, or, the ones taking the notes or volunteering, do you think that, I'm trying to think of like the reasoning why that is, and or if when they go home, like then personally, are they also the leader? Or because I know we're different at work than at home. Sometimes we're similar. I don't really know what I'm trying to get at, but
well, I think I know what you're like. What's the motivation for the person to consistently be put in that role? For me, speaking for me, because I've often been the one deemed as capable or competent in various capacities, it's very self-affirming. It's very like, if my identity is tied to being capable and competent, which is actually a limiting belief I'm trying to shift from, because I'm a valuable person, whether I'm performing or not performing. But if you have your identity tied to your performance, if you historically overperform, then it's very affirming to be recognized as that, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so for me, it's recognizing and having the awareness of oh, wow, like that's not necessarily, that's a limiting belief. You would think it'd be the opposite. You would think it would be an abundant belief, but it's actually a limiting belief because it puts you in a small box consistently and it ties your value directly to the one thing when your value is abundantly all things. Right. And so that was a more recent awareness of mine. Like, I'm so much more than what I do. I'm a human being, not a human doing.
Yeah.
And so now the work for me is transitioning from awareness to full embodiment of that, which means it's a muscle I'm trying to flex. It's a muscle I'm not flexing consistently because sometimes I lack the awareness in all the different scenarios because there are varying scenarios and it may be very clear in one and not clear in another. And it's actually what I'm finding in this season of growth, trying to transition from awareness to full embodiment, is telling others that I'm working on the skill. So if you see me doing this, make me aware because I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's been very liberating because before I did that and invited others to help me, it was all on my shoulders to adjust. And you're gonna sink back to muscle memory, which is the behavior you've always done. And so if you have any new skill, I think that you're striving to improve upon a certain thing or work out a certain behavior or stop doing something or start doing something, it's to invite others in. In my experience, that's what's worked, is inviting others in to say, this is something I'm working on, please help me. It's like, if you think about it, it's like having a spotter at the gym. I'm not going to go in and just like try to power lift 500 pounds. I'm going to incrementally build a skill. I'm going to have someone spot me for the heavier stuff. And then I'll build muscle over time and be less dependent on others to lift.
Yeah.
But it's a process.
Yeah, I love that. You need support. And I also think it's a fear of letting go of control.
Yeah.
For me, like definitely tying your worth to productivity, but also it's like, well, if I take the notes or if I drive the car or if I'm the friend they call, I'm in control. So I think understanding that there's a fear behind it of releasing that.
Control as a fear-based operating system.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely resonates with me.
Yeah, that totally hits my want and need to plan everything, because if I'm in control, we're following my plan.
Yeah.
And then we can do it,
my way.
I've got everything.
My way, the best way.
The best way. It's always the best way. I love that. So let's talk a little bit about the internal struggle of dependability. And I think this transitions from your self-awareness of this, right? So what nobody sees, really, because unless you are expressive of what you're feeling internally, they don't, dependable people don't just carry external expectations, they carry internal expectations. And those can be harsher ones because we're very brutal with ourselves internally in our internal monologue. So that internal voice can take shape in lots of different ways. And just some examples of: don't disappoint people, figure it out, keep going, push through, don't be dramatic, everyone else is counting on you. Like, even in my experience share around seeking equity, gender equity, like, if you heard my explanation, I almost discredit it like it was a bad thing to seek gender equity, right? Like, it's like you tell yourself all the things like, I don't want to be that one person that's always like, that's not fair.
I know.
But sometimes it's really important to advocate in that way.
Yeah.
And then, so dependability, you may have that internal narrative driving those behaviors, but then it becomes self-enforced. And so that does come with a greater degree of pressure and self-judgment. And so you guys have any thoughts on that? Any experience shares around that?
I think for me, the thought of being the one who's taking the back seat and being, like, for the example I gave, if I step up but others around me are not, and so they're taking a back seat, they're taking a slow ride, the thought of being viewed as that, to me, is crushing.
Wow.
Like, to think that someone thought of me as being the person who's coasting is soul crushing.
Wow, yeah.
So that is the internal drive, to not be that.
Yes. I feel that too. I never thought about, because I've never been that person who took the back seat. So, and hell no, I don't ever want to be viewed as that.
What happens? What does that image tell you? Like when you guys are both reacting very strongly to the image of that you're coasting or what is that from a values perspective? What is that saying about you if you are that? I'm not saying you're judging others that are that way, but for you, like, why are you so opposed to that perspective as it pertains to you?
I think I have to be honest and say it's because I view those people, I judge them as being lazy.
Yeah, I was going to say weak.
Yeah, lazy.
Or that they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And like have some pride in your work, in your conversations, in your life. Like, what do you stand for?
Your standards,
Yeah, and I agree with that. Like, it's almost like I don't enjoy being around people who don't stand up for anything or have decisiveness. It's like, well, don't you have an opinion on this?
Yeah, they seem to lack drive.
Right. And like, even if it doesn't agree with me, if you're backing yourself up with it, I respect you more. Then you're just sitting
being
there
passive and
being passive. And
it's interesting because you both talked about standards and you talked about like having pride in work and pride in what you do. And for me, I do value those things. Don't get me wrong. But for me, it's more about, I don't want someone else to feel like I'm taking advantage.
Yes.
Right? So it's more relational for me where I'm like, I don't ever want you to think I would disrespect you in a way that I'm not equally contributing or partnering with you or sharing the load.
100%. Yeah, that's all of it. Yeah. All of
that's
that
in there.
with the not being seen as lazy or undriven or unmotivated.
Yeah.
But it's like, as we're sitting here saying this, I remember the episode where Cam was on and I said, I've got to stop judging people who are not as driven as people like us, because some people, we need all the people in the world doing all the jobs, and some people are happy to stay at a level for their entire life because that's comfortable for them and that is enough of an income for them and they can support and do what they want their life to be. And we shouldn't be so harshly judging, but I am harshly judging if you don't step up to do more.
Same.
I can't even fake that.
Same.
Say that I'm not.
No. And I think
that's real. That's messy. That's real.
This is external though.
Yeah.
So I'm actually trying to think about, am I more judgy externally to folks, or am I having more self-judgment internally if I didn't do it? And I actually think my inner critic is becoming softer towards myself. I'm showing more self-compassion than
because you're dialing up the other one.
Yeah.
I have opinions about you.
Right. So it's like, well, wait a minute. How do we find a balance by not judging others and also not judging ourselves?
So as a self-diagnosed people pleaser,
yes.
Do you feel as though this is a pendulum in the sense of you used to always please and judge internally to adapt to the pleasing, and now it's like you're to the other swing to say, I'm going to be gentle with myself, but now I'm going to be more vocal and expressive about you.
Yeah.
Externally.
Yes.
So
definitely.
It is. Yeah.
So now I got to kind of come down again and find the middle ground.
Balance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to flip it for a second though, how is it being, because I've been here, the family member or spouse of someone who's highly driven, highly motivated, steps up to do everything, and you're like, could you just come home early one day? Like, could you?
Wait, so you're saying the family member or spouse is
of the highly competent person who is raising their hand to do everything, gets leaned on for everything. They're the friend who everyone calls when they're in need. They always answer the phone. They always respond to the text. They always want to be the person involved. And I don't believe it's ego at play. I think it's, what we're talking about. You're dependable, you're competent. But how does it feel being the partner of that person?
It takes especially well-centered, very, strong, balanced, and generous person. I will say that. But in my experience, it can create. So I went on a deep dive this weekend on this subject. This is why I was suggesting it, and it was particularly around the subject of masculine versus feminine energy, recognizing as a self-diagnosed overperformer, overachiever, that is a very masculine identified trait, right? And particularly in an industry where I am, which is very male dominated, when I associated with the industry, my limiting belief was I needed to be more masculine to be successful, because that is what the landscape looked like. And we've talked in past episodes about the softer side of Melissa campaign, recognizing I am very feminine and I have really powerful intuition and other feminine, female-driven energy that I usually I historically have been stifling and letting the masculine be more dominant. So the deep dive this weekend was around, if I now have the awareness of that masculine energy, how am I keeping that in check? And how do I interact with my external environment, and where do I see it dialed up versus where do I feel safer to allow the feminine to come forward? And it's really around the newer awareness that the strength comes from me being my authentic self. And the lack of joy that I have felt historically in my career path was because I was not being my authentic self. Right? And so it is now trying to create place and space for that feminine energy to be authentically expressed in my professional life, and also recognizing I need to set boundaries that avoid the trigger points that allow that masculine energy to come out. And it's not that I want to be fully feminine. I think it's really there's the necessity for balance, Definitely. Right? There are times where you need to dial up one, dial back the other, and vice versa. But it was really such an extreme of, masculine. So to take it back to your point about being in relationship with, it has been challenging in my past to be in relationship with other strong men if my masculine energy was strong, because it created a competitive dynamic. I think why I work really well with my husband now is he's very self-aware and very comfortable in his own skin, also very much in tune with his intuitive nature, and has equal balance of feminine and masculine energy in that sense. He's a very masculine male. He's a very strong, proud man, and doesn't come across as soft, but he's able to read the energy, read the room, and adapt himself to be in concert with me, or adaptable to blend with me in a way that is it's very healthy. And he also is one to express a boundary if it's needed, to be like, I've got this. I don't need you to, there are tendencies that I have about, I need to overperform in some things because that's past behavior where I need to make sure I have all the directions. I need to make sure that all the reservations are confirmed. I need to do all the things, make sure it's all structured. And once I got in a relationship and then recognized he was really competent at that, I was like, oh, I'm good.
I can let go.
I can let go.
Yeah.
Right? It's the recognition of he has strengths that I value, and I don't need to overperform anymore because I trust his strengths. Right? Yeah. And so that's where the healthy, balanced dynamic is. And so, I pray if there's someone out there who is that overachiever, whether it's male or female, that they have a partner that complements them and has the ability, they both have the ability to be fluid and adapt and know, okay, you're masculine, I can dial back. Oh, I need to be masculine, okay, I can dial back, right?
And that's given
fluid.
Time.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. I think, too, the thing that all of that resonated with me, but the one point that you said, being with a partner who knows themselves.
Yeah.
That is something that I now have as well. And I have found that I am able to lean way more into my feminine, almost like when I come home from work, essentially, and be playful and childish. And I think we talked a bit about that. And I've been yearning to be that way, but I have had to, or I thought I had to be in control and have all the plans and do all the things with previous partners. And, of course I was burnt out, right? Yeah. And it was masking it.
Yeah. Well, I think that you just touched on the difference between being capable and feeling responsible for everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the burden of that is the overwhelming part, right? And it's such a slippery slope, because if you have been capable and you've been, the example I'll give is when we're a baby, we can do anything, right? Like we can throw up on people, we can make noise and cry when we want to, we can stomp our feet and have a temper tantrum. And parents are like, oh, we love you. It's unconditional. It's so great. And then there's a point to which that baby is no longer appreciated or recognized in that way, because the expectation comes as you're getting older, you need to adapt different behaviors, right? So they stop getting the attention that they used to have. And that's usually when babies learn to walk or talk. And so the minute they do something like walk, then everyone's like, oh my gosh, Joe just walked. Isn't amazing, right? We react that way. So now the baby's learned, oh, I get attention when I perform.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's when that performance is born. And then if you start to recognize, like in my own dynamic, it was I needed and craved love and attention. And I got it more when I was performing.
Good
And
grades.
yeah. So that just, that like created in me, just that pathway of I am what I do versus I am who I am. And then that just continues. So when you're then getting additional recognition for being capable, then your identity is completely intertwined with that. And it's just now later in my life, you know, as I hit 50, where I'm like uncoupling that and really doing the work to separate from that, because I am who I am.
Yeah.
And I am who I am whether I'm doing or not doing. And I don't want to be responsible for everything.
Yeah.
And you don't want me to be responsible for everything, because that's limited. And how do we create teams that are balanced, and how do we create relationships that are balanced?
Yeah.
Where we trust in each other to be or not be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you said that, because I think through Charlie and I's relationship, we've followed those seasons where he's had to be the driven one, and I've had to be the, okay, I've got this part. And there's definitely been a shift for that for us as the seasons have changed and we've grown. And but yeah, I think that being able to be more feminine and letting go, it's hard though, because there are still things. I mean, Charlie and I have been together for almost 28 years, and there are still things I can't let go of. I cannot let him plan a trip.
Homework.
Like he will, but I need to know every detail.
Oh, I get that. And now I really am embracing the surprise and the letting go of it. And it takes a minute to get used to. And like,
Is that sustainable for you, Joe?
Yes.
I'm fine.
I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
As long as we have plans A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
I could let go of the planning part, but I could never let him pack for me.
Oh God, no. Well, that's just
silly.
That's
Yeah,
just
but I could pack for him. That would be okay.
yeah.
He would be okay with that.
Yeah,
basically
he'd be great with that. I mean, he wouldn't when he saw the size of the luggage.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but he'd survive. He'd have what he needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have a strong sense that you will continue to do that, and yet you should continue to do that? Is there any awareness around, I'd like to not have to do that, or are you good with it?
What do you want?
Oh, good question.
She fires. I would love to let go. I would love to. And I have to just look at it as, what if? Like, what's the worst that could happen? I have to go.
I love that you said that, because you were about to say but, and you stopped yourself from saying
did.
but.
Yeah. And I like that you said what if. I actually learned this thing yesterday. I just saw it, that I just thought of, where instead of saying, like, what if Charlie plans the trip, it's like, even if Charlie plans the trip and it's, I mean, terrible, which it won't be. Like, so it's
You're
replacing...
going to all the Elvis impersonation events for all time. The entire trip will be different venues of Elvis impersonations. How do you feel about that?
Even if I go to all the Elvis impersonations, we will still have a great time.
We might still be married.
We might still be right. I love that. I love that. Yeah. Okay. So it did sound like a homework assignment just was born, didn't it?
Yeah.
You said it. You want to let go.
Yeah.
What will you feel when you let go?
I think relief. Like, yeah, just, it'll be all right. It'll be fine.
Yeah. In the Kabbalah, I know we've talked about this before, they say that the husband is supposed to let the wife be a receiver. Let them, like, fall into their feminine at times, at the times they want, and be a receiver. So that's hard. It's hard for people like us, but
Yeah.
you know, you've seen those couples where you're like, God, she just doesn't have to do anything, and he just will take care of everything,
Yeah.
buy her things, do this, do that, all the plans. And you're like, I am like, I could never.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, when I first met my husband, his whole operating system was it's pleasing and taking care of others. It's like his love language is in service. And it made me very uncomfortable. And it's to this day, like, I challenge him on it because it's equally important that from my perspective, for him to be served, right? And the respect and love that comes with that. And I think it was uncomfortable for him, but now he does have enjoyment as well. Like if I make dinner instead of him always making dinner, or if I do other things, you know, instead of him doing other things. And I think travel's a good one for us because we do take kind of turns with that. He really enjoys making a good itinerary, and he's very good at it. But I think he's also equally like, okay, if I were to plan a trip.
Yeah.
So I do like the balance there of, so it's our own identity of value, but it's also the other perspective of how someone else can make you feel valued, which is like being the receiver makes me think of. So informing new beliefs, because that's that transition from awareness. So now you have awareness, transitioning from awareness to full embodiment. I can see in the context of this competence trap, my value comes from what I carry, and a shift perhaps, and I'm just suggesting this is a possible context, is my value exists when I put something down. So like in your framework, my value exists when I receive.
Yeah. Wow. I like that.
Yeah.
I really...
It's a totally different paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And something that will be not easy to walk out because if you're, you know, again, you have 40 some odd years or 30 some odd years of muscle memory around the doing and the value from doing and what you carry. Now it's like in putting it down.
And I think, you know, I asked a bunch of women this who are coming to my event, they had to write down or submit on their ticket, what will you give yourself permission to do between now and the event? And, you know, for lack of a better term, they all said things around putting things down. I want permission to say no without guilt. I want permission to rest. Some people said, I want permission to take a breath.
Wow.
And I was reading them and I was very emotional because we're all saying the same thing depending on what season in our life we're in, but it is really all similar themes of just, I want to let go, I want to sit back, I want to be a receiver, but I'm scared to let go. I'm scared to hand over the reins to someone else because will they do it as good as I will?
Yeah.
So it was very interesting to read.
And I wonder if an easier lift in the context of rest, because that was something that came true for me as well, is because the limiting belief is I must earn rest. And I'm notorious for that. Before I sit down and do nothing, I'm going to do all these other things. And I can remember distinctly as a child, like, in order to earn play, I needed to get all my homework done, right? Like it started way back then, very early in life. But what if instead, especially for these women who are so keyed on responsibility, is what if rest is part of responsibility? Like what if we can just shift the focus to say, it is my responsibility to rest.
Right.
And so just broaden the definition of responsibility. So it's not just self-depleting, that it's self-fulfilling and it's additive.
Yeah. How would we have, because I don't have children yet, but I'm like, think about all the things of how I was raised and how wonderful it was. And how do I then teach my kids, like you just said, you want them to finish their homework before they go play. But do we? Or do we say you're allowed to go play? Like, I'm trying to think of, like, how do you set up that for your kids?
Yeah.
And probably for new mothers listening.
I think it depends. Like, every kid is so different on the spectrum in my experience. And I only had one child. So I'm gauging my own self versus my son. I think it really depends on the personality of the kid. And I feel like if there is a child that needs structure in order to thrive, whether there's, cognitive differences or there's other behavioral differences, if your observation is that they need structure to survive, I think it's perfectly healthy to say, here's the time blocks that we're going to set aside. There's a time block for silliness. There's a time block for, but also engaging them in the choice.
Yeah.
Like, we have to do these different things. We have to rest, we have to eat, and we have to do work. They all have to be done. When will you be at your best to work or to do them, right?
That.
And then engaging the child in that activity. Because I was so competent and accountable for myself that I didn't need to be micromanaged on. Like, my parents never came to me and said, do your homework before you go outside.
Because you always had it done.
I internally was like wired that way. So if you have a child that is that way, you don't have to say anything about their deserve of play. They're going to self-regulate that. But I think it's a healthy conversation to have, to say, I've noticed that you do a lot of work. Maybe we can have more play. Like, let's have some structured play, or let's be more creative about how we look at play to make sure there's balance. Because I think it was very clear, it would have been very clear if my parents were tuned into this issue, to recognize that my tendencies were around cleaning the house and doing homework more so than, playful.
Playing and resting.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're saying you could have used them to say more so,
balance.
Melissa, you've done enough for today. You did great today.
Yeah.
Why don't you go sit on the couch and relax?
Yeah. Or just balance, right? Like, create that equilibrium if it doesn't exist. Have awareness around the need for equilibrium. Have open dialogue around the equilibrium, and make sure it's there. You can't be all play, and you can't be all work.
Yeah.
I don't know. What was your perspective as a mom?
Well, you're going to be really shocked to hear that I had a plan for everything.
No.
Which day would you like me to go back to?
Not you, Joe.
She's like, May 1st, 1994.
I did. I had a whiteboard, and each kid had a section, and the day was planned out. So they had snack
A lot of
time.
structure.
They had a lot of structure, which served me, and I hope served them, because there were 3 of them of similar ages, but all very different. So I had the one, and you will never guess which one, who was completely driven. It was homework. It was, clean her room. Her room's always immaculately clean and everything has a place. And I had another one who homework was the last thing on their mind. And and then I had one who was just so happy-go-lucky. She's just plodding along like, oh, what's everyone else doing?
Wow.
So the structure served, because we got, we had arts and craft time. And it started when they were tiny. Like, I literally started it when they were tiny. And at that point, it was little visuals, like obviously not words. And then as they developed, it turned into words. And
That's awesome.
but yes, I had full structure. And but what strikes me as funny is we talk about rest now, and I think most parents will have experienced that you get to a point with children where they need a nap during the day. That going or at least lay down and close your eyes, lay down and read a book, just rest. We know they need that. They don't recognize they need it, but then you get to adulthood and you're like, could somebody just tell me to lay down and read a book?
Yeah.
Like, could that be a chore
Or
for
take
me
a nap?
Yeah. Like,
What if that's my responsibility today?
right. You have, Melissa, you need to have an hour, and you just have to go in this quiet room, and you can do whatever you want, but you have to be quiet and do it by yourself.
Yeah, I think that's what we're saying is how do we grant ourselves permission, because we don't, no one is going to come in and save the day and say, you are tired.
Yeah.
You've done enough for today.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to say that to myself.
Yes.
And there are days where I am good at that, and I'm like, Alana, you did a lot. Go enjoy Real Housewives of Beverly Hills on the couch with a glass of wine and like relax. And then there are times where the judgment or shame comes in of like, did I even do enough today? Because we are praised for our productivity.
Performance, absolutely. So do you have a sense of what triggers that self-judgment piece versus when you feel like, how does that spectrum exist?
I think if I don't feel like I've either fulfilled a duty, whether that's like a financial duty or have I done enough around the house. I think it's like balancing the professional life with the domestic life and trying to find like, and there are some weeks where you want to be really, involved in your career, and then there are some weeks where you're like, I don't really want to do that this week. I want to just organize the house and declutter, and that will serve me. Yeah.
Well, and sometimes it does cognitively serve you. Like I got up you guys know I get up at crazy, ridiculous hours, 3 a.m. So I have dedicated me time. It's very structured for my own mental well-being. But this morning, I did follow my traditional rituals, but then I gave myself more time because I went to bed last night with a sense of unease because my space was feeling chaotic. Like there was disorder, there was things that hadn't been done because we were away on the weekend, and so I literally just gave myself an hour today to like clean the kitchen and vacuum, and it was like, I'm doing it at 4 a.m, so that's a little bizarre. But
I'm not sleeping over.
No, you probably don't want to sleep over because my dogs were going apeshit too because I'm vacuuming, right? They're chasing the vacuum around the house. It's always a good time. But yeah, so I think knowing that sometimes your body or your spirit is craving structure or lack of structure because it's what it needs. And I think that being in tune with that and being aware of that and then honoring that is really like making that part of your responsibility. Yeah. Because that's how we're wired, is to honor our responsibilities. I think that's a really great, easy way for people to really make that shift.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I did want to just share with our tribe some reflection exercise, a reflection exercise to really dive into this, because we talk about these episodes are really about curating curiosity and questions and be thought-provoking. And so the reflection exercise it's really to invite you to like write this down. In essence, it's creating 3 separate lists. So the number 1 list is, what am I carrying because I have to? The second list is, what am I carrying because I feel guilty not carrying it? And then the third list, what am I carrying because everyone assumes I will?
Wow.
And then once you've compiled these separate lists, they can be on index cards or, note paper, what have you. Once you've compiled those lists and really processed that and it's complete and you feel it's complete, maybe do it one day, come back to it to make sure everything's there. Once you feel it's complete, is to then sit down and say which one of these burdens no longer belongs to you. And highlight those. And then the opportunity then is for you to explore how you can detach yourself from what no longer serves you.
Yeah.
Whether it's doing the opposite as a newfound responsibility, or asking a partner or supporter to be able to make you aware when you're showing up in that way, so that you can have the start of awareness. Because that's really the start of changing behavior, is to have clear awareness in the doing, to be able to pause and reflect when you're doing it, rather than just doing it subconsciously. So I feel like for me, I've done this list exercise before because it's really illuminating how much we just carry and do almost, automatically without much thought. And so the list was a really great way just to get it out of my head and get it out of my system and spirit, and then just be able to reflect on it logically. Like, does this even make sense?
That's a great exercise. Send that to me.
I will.
So go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. Sorry,
was there anything on that list, Melissa, that was either blaringly obvious or that had to be teased out?
Yeah, great question. So the blaringly obvious was it was the awareness that there was a lot around performance, and there was a lot around my identity, that everything is my responsibility. So that was blaringly obvious to me, but I think what was surprising in that was how deep that was. From minutia, from little things, like like trivial. One of the things was I'm carrying because I have to. It's like doing the laundry every week. Nobody asked me to do the laundry every week. I created that for myself. Like, some of these things were self-imposed, right?
Yeah.
There's no one asking me to do it. It's that I'm the one that is putting that as it's on my responsibility list, when it doesn't have to be. My husband's perfectly capable and willing of doing laundry. It would literally just be like, do you mind if we alternate weeks?
Yeah.
Like, like just
Right.
just asking for to your point, what do you want?
What do you want to
What
do?
do you need?
Yeah.
What do you want? I think just being more expressive with that, I think, was my takeaway from that. And so that's the part that I think needed to be teased out a little bit to answer your second question, is the laundry was it was aha, like how trivial these things are that I assign myself as my responsibility without being asked. And then the teasing out was, how do I resolve that? And it was like, honestly, just being willing to have a conversation and explore like what can be shared.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's such a good reflection of like your time. Like, where am I spending my time? And, where can I outsource things? I love that, either to someone else or to a company that can do laundry or, like, for example.
Right.
Like, if your husband can't, then like, do I have it in my budget to outsource it, because I know that that's going to, my time of 2 hours that it takes to wash, dry, fold, put away, maybe my 2 hours could be better spent somewhere else. So
or
it's worth
maybe it's a non-negotiable for me, because it's something that's, what I found is it's mindless for me.
Yeah.
It's actually a healing thing for me to not have to be thinking about a complex thing. And so my system gets a release from that.
Wow.
And so I don't want to give that up, even though it sounds crazy. Like, why would you want to do laundry? But I do find a sense of accomplishment in a non-complex, non-professional way of just
that's nice.
little minor tasks, right? Like,
Okay.
could be watering the plants.
Yeah.
So for me, I love being in the garden. So planting is an enjoyment for me. So
Yeah.
it's not, so it's, I think, what do you want?
Knowing what you want.
Knowing what you want.
And what
is,
the hell are you doing? And then deciding.
Yeah. And having the awareness. So I think these lists can help you. I love the layer of that question in the list, what's no longer serving you? What burden can you give away? But also, like, what do you want in this? Because it's serving you in some way if it's on the list, right? It's, I guess, gaining the awareness of what purpose is this serving for me to be doing this?
Yeah. Do I enjoy it?
Yeah. Love that. So what's your one thing? Mine is the what do you want? I love that question.
Such a simple,
I do love
hard question,
I know.
isn't it?
It's a hard question. It is a really hard question. My one thing, I think, is, and I think it was my one thing when we had Cam as the guest, I've got to stop being so harshly judging of people who are happy where they are. You don't have to be super driven. That's not where your worth is. Like,
Yeah.
I have to be more tolerant of people and their wants. Like, what do they want? Stop assuming what they want and maybe ask them.
Yeah.
And that's my one thing. It's my one thing again, because I clearly haven't mastered it yet.
That's okay. I don't.
That's the messy part, right?
That's the
we
messy
don't
part.
master in one time. You're right. Yeah, I think I'm going to continue to explore the internal versus external as well. Of like, am I posing more judgment externally versus internally, and continuing to listen to my body and my needs of, what does productive look like today? Because productive could be resting, or productive could be, what you think of it as, getting shit done. But I love the responsibility. What was the question you said? Or you said, what
is my responsibility? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like expanding the definition of responsibility to, like, what if rest is your
include.
responsibility?
Yeah, I'm definitely.
What if silliness is your responsibility? What
It
if
is. I already know it is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I know joy
watching
and
Beverly,
fun.
the wives, housewives. Lord help you. That
See,
is
that's
your
mindless to me. Laundry, not so much.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, let me have my mindless. I love that, including rest as my responsibility.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Yeah. And that's a surefire way that you'll do it, right?
Yeah.
Because you're so oriented to what you're responsible, like, just to be a good steward of what is your responsibility in that dynamic. That's awesome.
Great.
Great job, guys.
Wow. We're growing.
We're growing.
Messy.
Very therapeutic.
Very messy, very therapeutic. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Tribe. We hope that you've taken something from this episode. I continue to be very inspired by, our tribe members sharing how we're impacting them. And I literally, I was at a meeting, company-wide meeting last week, and one of my contractor, like my carpenter guys, like rough and tumble, 30-something wood framer, like, he's like, I'm really enjoying the podcast.
Oh my God.
It blew my mind. I was
amazing.
like, wait,
Stop.
what? He's like, yeah, my favorite episode was blah, like,
Oh my
it
God.
was really special. And I find that we have a growing audience of men. Like I was at an event last week and another guy said, I really loved your oh my gosh, what was the episode he said, which was hilarious? Oh, imposter syndrome.
I knew you were going to say that.
He loved the imposter syndrome episode. And I was like really touched by that because I typically don't think of men in the dynamic of having imposter syndrome. But of course, every human, regardless of gender, can have that, that challenge or that issue or perspective. So I really just value the feedback from our tribe. And I'm glad to see our tribe is growing and they're sharing it out with others. And I'm just going to really enjoy your event that's coming up this weekend. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to see Super Bloom in action and be a part of that celebration of your continued success and your impact, which is very significant. And so we're happy to do the big and little things. The impact can be significant doing some little things, and you can have, influence, is a very different perspective. Like it's more important to me to have significant impact with one person than with an ocean of people. So this has been meaningful for me as well personally, and I'm really benefiting from it. So thank you, ladies, for being willing to do the work with me real time. It does get messy, and we hope that you share this episode with someone else who's going through this in their lives, and maybe it resonated with you, and you can immediately think of folks to share it with. Please follow us on socials, and make sure that you're also suggesting topics, because we are very much known to take suggestions and run with them. And so we're excited to do future episodes that are inspired by what you need. So it's been great to spend time with you. We look forward to connecting with you soon.